Hi there, and welcome back to another Behind the Why Short. Today, we're going to talk about some of the things that are happening and how I see them going forward, and maybe just kind of give you a little bit more understanding of my perspective of some of the things we see going on in the news today. So, join me behind the why. But before we do that, go ahead and hit that bell, like and subscribe to the channel, and do me a favor and share this with as many people as possible. I like to get this conversation going. I try to answer as many responses as we get so we can keep the conversation alive and moving forward. So, let's get behind the why. One of the things that has come up in the comment section on the page is people have asked me about the fraud situation with the election. And I haven't done a lot of talk about the fraud since that one point we hit on. And the reason is because I don't want to miss the point. You've heard me say, as I've talked on this show, if you've been with me any time, the concept of chess versus checkers. And what I don't want to do is get us involved in a conversation about checkers when we should be playing chess. Because what's happening is the powers that be are moving systems and they're moving organizations around, changing the course of what America is going to look like. But the only way they can do that, because we are a republic, a democratic republic, is they have to get enough of us to go along with them, at least in the beginning anyway, so they can make these changes without too much notice. And you'll notice, for one thing, when we talk about this change that's happening in this country, well, before we do that, let's go back to the issue of fraud. Somebody asked me about fraud, and again, I don't want to spend too much time talking about it, but there were significant issues where fraud was discovered in Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Nevada, Michigan. There was some incidents of fraud that came up. Now, whether or not those incidents rose to the level where it would have turned the election, I don't know. But it's not significant at this point because Biden is already our president. He's in the White House. So it's not that part of the story. It's kind of a main issue as far as going forward. But for right now, we can look back at it and say, maybe it's part of a bigger story. One of the bigger parts of that story is this. Since this new administration has been in office, one of the things it has done, it has refinanced Planned Parenthood. Now think about that. In the first week or two of its settling into his office, the first thing that it does is power up again a machine that is committed to killing babies. If that's not enough to make you pause and shake your head, I don't think anything else I'm going to say today will make a difference. But here we are, the government of the United States. Not only is it powering up the machine here in America to kill babies, that's bad enough, but it's also pushing this regime of death around the world. We told you before in the first stimulus packet that was, $25 million sent to Pakistan. But in order for them to get any of that aid, they had to buy off on the death culture, this new idea of birth control through abortion, this idea of teaching gender studies where a boy can be a girl or a girl can be a boy, pushing this ideology around the world. So the question that I ask you, and this is what I was trying to get to before the election in our first broadcast earlier this year, was that why? Why are these things happening? See, Jesus tells us in Matthew 24 that there's going to be a great change, a great upheaval in the way life is lived as we get closer and closer to the last days. Now, some of you may not be Bible people, and you may not understand or believe that. That's okay. That's where you are right now. I hope one day that you will be. But if you look at the Bible, it tells you that there's going to be a great change in the fabric of community. Now, the thing that works to our advantage and to our disadvantage here in America is the simple fact that in America, we've had so many privileges that we haven't really had to suffer. So when we think about people who are suffering for their faith, being put to death for the name of Christ, it almost sounds like a fairy tale to us. But right now today, in numerous countries around the world, there are people who are being killed simply because they are Christians. Their property is being taken from them. Their homes are being burned. Their churches are being bombed. Their pastors are being dragged down the street and beaten, killed, sometimes beheaded, sometimes hanged, sometimes trapped inside their burning churches and burned to death. The women are raped and children taken and sold into slavery. These things are happening right now, even as we speak around the world. Now, we laugh and say, well, that would never happen here in America, but think about it. A few months ago, we never thought we'd see the government tell churches they couldn't meet here in America. We never thought we'd see police officers going to churches and arresting people, giving them tickets because they want to worship the Lord. You see, it doesn't take much to shift it, because when you stop and think about it, guys, this is not a Republican or a Democrat problem. This is not a black or a white problem. This is a good versus evil problem. This is the kingdom of God being invaded by the kingdom of darkness. And right here on this earth, the Bible tells us that for this time span, Satan has been given privilege to rule in his kingdom, this restricted kingdom of his. And he knows, the Bible says that he knows that his time is short, and he wants to destroy as many people as he possibly can. And so this battle is not about Republican, it's not about Democrat. Even though in this country we see those lines, we can't deny those things. However, what we want to look at is the ideology behind it. And right here, right now, in America, the fabric is being changed. As we speak, there's hundreds of thousands of illegal aliens approaching our southern borders. And this administration is saying, let them in. And you have to ask yourself, what would be the good of that in a time of a pandemic when we are right now being asked to wear masks everywhere, and some people saying wearing 2 masks or 3 masks? You're going to let hundreds of thousands of people come in. You have no idea what kind of sickness or disease they have. Have we forgotten 9/11 this quickly when we had people come from out of country, other countries who hate our guts and try to destroy us from inside? This is still the same world we live in. This is the same world. We still have the same enemies. And yet this new administration is acting as if none of these things exist. And when we stop and we think about this and this shifting, this changing of ideology, there was an article in Times online talked about how this faction of underground, this covert group, moved to manipulate and control the election. And that's Time magazine. That's not me saying that. And so we see these powers that be that are at work in this nation, trying to change the very fabric of what America is supposed to look like. And slowly but surely, guys, if you're not careful, you're going to wake up one day, you won't recognize America. Another thing that this administration did as soon as it got in office, it signed in the rules or by executive order, now going to be enforcing this gender bias in sports, where guys who think they're girls can compete with girl teams. This thing, again, started under President Obama, where boys can use girls' bathroom, girls can use boys' bathroom, depending on how they feel. And I say that a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but that is the reality. And that's going to be forced down your throat because the public schools need those federal dollars, the way the system is set up. If they don't do what they're told, they don't get federal dollars. And without those federal dollars, they can't operate at the level that they're used to. So these changes are coming. The Bible tells us they're coming. My voice, what I'm hoping to do as we try to get behind the why of some of these things that are going on, again, getting past the sensationalism of this last election. Again, they had us so busy trying to play checkers that while they were playing chess, playing above our heads, we were fussing about little things, stupid things, while they were trying to change the fabric of the country. They sent us, $600 in this relief package, and each one of us Americans got $600, but they're sending millions of dollars overseas, millions of dollars being squirreled away here and there for their private parties. These things are happening. And you and I and our children, our grandchildren are going to grow up in that America. And it's time that we wake up. And I'm especially speaking to those who name the name of Christ. It's time for us to wake up. I think again about the abortion issue, and I don't understand how we just turn our eyes to that, especially those who name the name of Christ. And I've talked to a number of people who will say, yeah, it's just abortion, and they'll try to excuse it off when you think that here is an administration, the first thing they did, one of the first things they did was reinforce the power to kill babies. And if you're black in America, you should accept that as a threat. Because right now, as we said many times before, we account for like 33% of all the abortions that happen in this country. We're killing ourselves. And right behind that, we're killing ourselves in the streets. I was reading my home paper today, and I read where there's a beloved coach, a basketball coach, was shot and killed as he came out of a restaurant because somebody, I think, was trying to steal his car, and they shot and killed him. We have a moral breakdown in our communities. And it doesn't do us any good to try and blame Washington, D.C., whether it's Republican or Democrat. But we do have to look at the policies that are coming down. And when we have an opportunity to make a change, we need to make a change. But for right now, the course seems set. And the only way you and I are going to make a difference, yeah, we're talking to one another, having these kind of conversations. But we have to have a more important conversation. And that's the conversation of prayer. It's time for us to turn our eyes toward heaven and look to the Lord of glory, because he's going to be the only source of help that we've got. It's coming, guys. This battle, this ideological civil war is afoot. It's on. And you can hear it now. Voices are being silenced. People are being erased, taken from their positions of power. And the fabric of America is changing. The question is, where do you stand in that change? Who was it that said, "Oh, that's good for evil to triumph, it's for good men to do nothing"? Well, let's be good men, but let's do something. So until next time, here's me telling you, get behind the why and keep on praying. Love you. Peace. Till next time, God bless you.